In the bustling city of Yueyang, Grace, a disciplined and ambitious architect, meticulously planned her life to achieve perfection. Renowned for her precision and unparalleled designs, she was celebrated for her ability to blend functionality with aesthetics. Despite her professional success, Grace's personal life was cold and detached, a void she avoided by focusing on her career. Meanwhile, Benjamin, a free-spirited wildlife photographer, wandered the world capturing its raw beauty. Known for his evocative and heartfelt images, he lived life untethered, seeking inspiration in the unexpected. His nomadic lifestyle and easygoing charm masked a quiet loneliness, a longing for a connection that felt real and grounding. Their lives intersected on a crowded train in Yueyang. Grace was engrossed in reviewing blueprints for her latest project, a groundbreaking community center design. Benjamin, fresh from a photo shoot in the countryside, sat nearby, sketching a scene from memory in his journal. When the train jolted, Grace's meticulous plans scattered, her blueprints fluttering to the floor. Benjamin instinctively knelt to help. As he handed the papers back, their eyes met briefly, hers sharp and calculating, his warm and curious. "Thank you," Grace said curtly, trying to maintain her composure. "No problem," Benjamin replied with a smile, noticing the intricate designs on the paper. "Your work." She nodded, hesitating to engage further. "It's impressive," he added, his tone genuine. "You have an eye for detail." Grace offered a polite smile before turning back to her work, dismissing the encounter as inconsequential. But Benjamin's easy demeanor lingered in her thoughts, a curious contrast to her rigid world. Later that day, Grace discovered a leather-bound journal on the train seat where Benjamin had been sitting. Opening it out of curiosity, she found stunning sketches of landscapes, animals, and candid portraits, each imbued with a depth that spoke volumes about its creator. Determined to return the journal, Grace noticed a phone number scribbled on the inside cover. She debated whether to call but decided it was the right thing to do. "Hello, is this Benjamin?" she asked when he picked up. "Yes, who's this?" "This is Grace. I believe you left your journal on the train." A pause followed, then Benjamin's relieved laughter. "I thought I lost it forever. Thank you so much." They arranged to meet at a cafe near the train station. When they met, Benjamin expressed heartfelt gratitude, offering to buy her coffee as thanks. Though Grace initially declined, Benjamin's easy charm and sincerity coaxed her into accepting. As they sat together, their conversation flowed more naturally than either expected. Benjamin spoke of his travels and the stories behind his photographs, while Grace reluctantly shared snippets of her life and her ambitious architectural projects. "You." "No," Benjamin said, studying her thoughtfully. "Your designs are like poetry. They tell a story, just like photographs do." Grace blinked, surprised by the unexpected compliment. "I've never thought of it that way." Over the next few days, Benjamin and Grace continued to run into each other, as if the city itself conspired to intertwine their paths. Despite their growing rapport, their differences became glaringly apparent. Benjamin invited Grace to a photography exhibit he was hosting, showcasing the natural beauty of the countryside surrounding Yang. Reluctantly, Grace attended, intrigued by the invitation. Walking through the gallery, she was struck by the vibrancy and emotion in Benjamin's work. Each photograph was a testament to his ability to see beauty in imperfection, a stark contrast to her rigid pursuit of flawlessness. "This is incredible," she admitted. "You've captured something raw." Benjamin smiled. "Thank you. I think it's because I don't chase perfection. I let the world show me what it has to offer." His words unsettled Grace, challenging the foundation of her beliefs. She responded defensively, arguing that structure and precision were necessary to create beauty. Benjamin, in turn, countered that life's unpredictability often led to its most beautiful moments. Their debate was lively, but left both feeling slightly vulnerable. Benjamin admired Grace's determination and intelligence, but he wondered if her strict adherence to control might hinder her from fully experiencing life. Grace, on the other hand, found herself questioning whether her pursuit of perfection had left her blind to other possibilities. Despite their differences, a tentative friendship began to form. Benjamin suggested they explore Yueyang's less conventional spots, hidden gardens, old alleyways, and rooftop views that offered breathtaking perspectives of the city. At first, Grace was hesitant, but she found herself drawn to Benjamin's infectious enthusiasm. During one such outing, Benjamin led her to a secluded park with a serene lake. As they sat by the water, Grace shared memories of her childhood, revealing the pressure she faced from her parents to excel academically and professionally. "I guess I've always felt like I had to prove something," she admitted softly, "that if I wasn't perfect, I wouldn't be enough." Benjamin listened intently before replying, "But you are enough, Grace. You just don't see it yet." His words lingered in her mind long after the conversation ended. For the first time in years, she began to question whether her relentless pursuit of perfection was truly what she wanted, or merely what she had been conditioned to believe. Unbeknownst to them both, their chance encounter was the beginning of a journey that would challenge everything they thought they knew about life, love, and the distance between two hearts. Grace's career took an unexpected turn when her firm secured a prestigious contract to design a community center in Yueyang. The project required an innovative approach, blending modern architecture with sustainable, eco-friendly concepts. Though confident in her abilities, Grace struggled to find inspiration for the project's artistic elements, which felt cold and impersonal compared to the vibrant vision she sought. Meanwhile, Benjamin's photography exhibit had caught the attention of a local art community, earning him recognition as a visual storyteller. News of his success reached Grace, who, despite her usual reluctance to involve others in her work, found herself thinking about Benjamin's unique perspective. One evening, she hesitantly called him. "Benjamin, I need your help. I'm working on a project, and I think your insight could make a difference." Intrigued, Benjamin agreed to meet her at the construction site. As they walked through the barren framework of what would become the community center, Benjamin marveled at Grace's vision. She explained her design concepts with meticulous detail, but when she asked for his opinion, his response caught her off guard. "It's impressive, Grace, but it's missing something," he said thoughtfully. "It needs a soul, a story that connects the people to the space." Challenged but inspired, Grace invited Benjamin to collaborate. Together, they began brainstorming ways to incorporate elements of nature and local culture into the design. Benjamin's photographs of Yueyang's landscapes became the foundation for a series of murals and interactive displays, while Grace reimagined her blueprints to include open, airy spaces that invited community engagement. The long hours they spent working together fostered a growing intimacy. Grace, who had always guarded her emotions, found herself opening up to Benjamin in ways she never had with anyone else. His light-hearted humor and infectious passion for life slowly chipped away at the walls she had built around herself. One evening, as they reviewed sketches in Grace's office, the power went out due to a storm. Stuck in the dark with only their phone flashlights, Benjamin suggested they take a break. He pulled out his camera and began snapping candid shots of Grace, who protested at first but eventually laughed as he coaxed her into playful poses. "You have a beautiful smile," he said, lowering his camera. Grace felt her cheeks warm. "You're not so bad at this charm thing, are you?" "I just call it honesty," he replied with a grin. The storm subsided, but the moment lingered between them, leaving Grace wondering if the spark she felt could be more than just a fleeting connection. As the project progressed, Grace's boss, Mr. Zhang, became increasingly critical of her work. He questioned her decision to involve an outsider like Benjamin, accusing her of prioritizing personal distractions over professional excellence. "You're a rising star, Grace," he said sternly during a meeting. "Don't let anyone derail your trajectory." The words planted seeds of doubt in Grace's mind. She began pulling back from Benjamin, fearing that their growing relationship might jeopardize her career. Benjamin, noticing her distance, confronted her one evening after a particularly tense day at the site. "Grace, what's going on?" he asked. "You've been avoiding me." She hesitated, struggling to articulate her fears. "I can't afford to lose focus, Benjamin. This project is too important." "And I'm not," he replied, his voice tinged with hurt. The conversation ended with an uneasy silence, leaving both feeling uncertain about their future. Despite the tension, Benjamin continued to support Grace's vision for the community center. One day, he invited her to a nearby nature reserve, insisting she needed a break. Though reluctant, Grace agreed, and the outing proved to be a turning point. As they walked through the serene landscape, Benjamin shared stories from his travels, moments of joy, heartbreak, and self-discovery. In return, Grace confessed the pressures she faced growing up, how her parents' expectations had shaped her into someone who valued achievement above all else. "You've spent so much time proving yourself to others," Benjamin said gently. "Maybe it's time to start living for yourself." His words struck a chord. For the first time, Grace allowed herself to consider the possibility of balancing her career with a personal life that included Benjamin. That evening, as they watched the sunset together, Grace leaned her head on Benjamin's shoulder, a silent acknowledgement that their connection was worth fighting for. The following weeks brought increased pressure for Grace as the community center project neared a critical phase. With deadlines looming and her boss, Mr. Zhang, scrutinizing every detail, Grace reverted to her meticulous, overworked habits. Benjamin noticed the change, sensing her retreat behind an emotional wall once again. During a particularly stressful evening, Grace received a call from Mr. Zhang. "I need you to cut any unnecessary elements from the design," he ordered. "The budget has been tightened, and we can't afford indulgent aesthetics. Focus on functionality." Grace was torn. The artistic elements Benjamin had helped integrate were integral to the vision she now believed in. Yet, Mr. Zhang's demands left her feeling obligated to compromise. When she broke the news to Benjamin, his reaction was a mix of disappointment and frustration. "Grace, this isn't just about art. It's about creating something meaningful for the community. Cutting corners strips it of its purpose." "I don't have a choice," Grace snapped, her voice sharp with stress. "This project isn't just about your vision, Benjamin. It's my career on the line." Benjamin's face hardened. "And what about what we've built together? Doesn't that mean anything to you?" The argument left both of them shaken. Grace, who had always valued control, felt increasingly out of sync with the unpredictable, emotionally open Benjamin. Meanwhile, Benjamin began to question if their growing bond was strong enough to bridge their vastly different worlds. The tension between them grew, and Benjamin decided to take some space to reevaluate their relationship. Without warning, he left Yueyang for a remote village to work on a wildlife photography project, leaving Grace with only a brief message. "I need time to think. Don't lose yourself in the chaos." His departure hit Grace harder than she expected. The absence of his easy laughter, his grounding presence, and the warmth of his unwavering belief in her left a void she couldn't ignore. She buried herself in work, but the once fulfilling precision of her designs now felt hollow. One evening, Grace stumbled across a photo in Benjamin's journal that he'd left behind. A candid shot of her laughing at the construction site, her hair windswept and her face lit with genuine joy. The image brought tears to her eyes, a reminder of the connection she had pushed away. In Benjamin's absence, Grace faced an unexpected challenge. The local community, hearing about the proposed budget cuts, protested the removal of the artistic and cultural elements from the center's design. A town hall meeting was called, and Grace, as the lead architect, was forced to address their concerns. Standing before the passionate crowd, Grace listened as they expressed their hopes for the center, a space where families could gather, children could learn, and their heritage could be celebrated. Their words reignited something within her, a sense of responsibility not just to her career, but to the people who would call this center their own. Motivated by their voices and inspired by Benjamin's belief in her, Grace presented a revised design that balanced functionality with the creative vision they had worked on together. She convinced Mr. Zhang to support the adjustments, arguing that the center's success would be measured not by cost-cutting, but by its lasting impact. Benjamin returned to Yueyang a month later, his photography project completed, but his heart heavy with unresolved feelings for Grace. He avoided reaching out at first, unsure if she wanted to see him. However, when he heard about her revised design and the town's overwhelming support, he couldn't stay away. One evening, As Grace reviewed the final blueprints in her office, she heard a familiar voice behind her. "You didn't cut the murals." Turning, she saw Benjamin standing in the doorway, his expression a mix of admiration and hesitation. "I couldn't," she admitted softly. "They're what make the center feel alive." Benjamin stepped closer, his eyes searching hers. "I'm sorry. I left the way I did. I thought giving you space would help, but it only made me realize how much I want to be part of your world." Grace's voice trembled as she replied, "I've been so afraid of losing control, of risking everything. But you showed me that sometimes the best things happen when you let go." The distance between them melted as they embraced, their differences no longer barriers but threads that wove their lives together. Grace realized that love, like architecture, was about building something beautiful, messy, imperfect, and uniquely theirs. With their reconciliation, Grace and Benjamin embarked on a new phase of their relationship, one marked by collaboration and a shared sense of purpose. Benjamin joined Grace in refining the final touches on the community center, lending his artistic eye to ensure the project retained its soul. One day, as they worked side by side, Benjamin caught Grace studying him thoughtfully. "What's on your mind?" he asked, setting down his sketch pad. She hesitated before replying, "You're so free-spirited, Benjamin. You live by your own rules, and I've always been bound by expectations. How do you do it?" Benjamin smiled gently. "Freedom isn't about avoiding responsibility. It's about choosing what matters most and giving it your all. For me, it's capturing life's fleeting beauty. For you, it's creating spaces where people can thrive. And right now, it's also about being here with you." Grace felt a warmth spread through her chest. For the first time, she realized that their differences weren't opposites but complements, each bringing balance to the other's world. As the community center neared completion, Grace and Benjamin were thrust into a whirlwind of media attention. Grace's firm, eager to showcase the innovative project, arranged press tours and interviews. Though initially reluctant, Grace saw it as an opportunity to highlight the community's involvement. During one such event, a journalist recognized Benjamin as the estranged son of a prominent politician, a past he had deliberately kept hidden. The revelation spread quickly, casting Benjamin in an unflattering light. Questions arose about his credibility, and rumors swirled about him using the project for personal gain. Grace stood by him, refusing to entertain the accusations, but the scrutiny took its toll. Benjamin grew withdrawn, haunted by memories of his complicated family history and the reasons he had chosen to distance himself. One night, Grace found him sitting alone on the rooftop of the community center, staring at the stars. "Talk to me," she urged, sitting beside him. Benjamin sighed deeply. "I left that life because it wasn't mine. My father wanted me to follow in his footsteps, but I couldn't. Photography became my escape, my way of finding meaning. Now it feels like I can't outrun his shadow." Grace took his. "You don't have to run anymore. The man I know isn't defined by anyone else's expectations. He's talented, compassionate, and brave enough to follow his own path. That's the Benjamin I believe in." Her words rekindled his confidence, and together, they decided to face the challenges head-on. Determined to clear Benjamin's name, Grace organized a public forum to discuss the project's journey. She invited local residents, artists, and stakeholders to share their experiences and highlight Benjamin's contributions. The event was a resounding success, with heartfelt testimonials about how Benjamin's photography had inspired the murals and brought the community's stories to life. Benjamin also addressed the crowd, speaking openly about his estranged relationship with his father and his decision to carve out his own identity. "I've learned that life isn't about where you come from, but where you're headed. Working on this project with Grace has shown me that the furthest distance isn't physical. It's the gap between fear and courage, between holding back and reaching out. Thank you for letting me be part of your journey." His vulnerability and sincerity resonated with the audience, silencing critics and earning widespread admiration. The grand opening of the community center was a momentous occasion. The entire town gathered to witness the unveiling of the space that had become a symbol of unity and creativity. Grace's architectural brilliance and Benjamin's artistic vision were on full display, from the soaring design of the atrium to the vibrant murals depicting local culture. As they walked through the completed center, Grace marveled at how far they had come, not just in their professional lives, but in their relationship. She turned to Benjamin and said, "This place is everything I dreamed it could be, and more. But what makes it truly special is that we created it together." Benjamin took her hand, his eyes filled with emotion. "Grace, you've shown me that even in the most structured world, there's room for wonder and connection. This isn't just a building. It's a testament to what we can achieve when we trust each other." The evening ended with a celebration, complete with music, dancing, and laughter. Under the glow of lanterns, Grace and Benjamin shared a quiet moment on the terrace. "To us," Benjamin said, raising a glass of champagne. "To us," Grace replied, feeling a deep sense of contentment. The joy of the community center's grand opening was short-lived. As Grace and Benjamin began planning their future together, Benjamin received an unexpected letter from his father, Senator Nathaniel Gray, summoning him back to his hometown. Despite their estranged relationship, the letter carried an urgency Benjamin couldn't ignore. "Why would he want to see you now, after all these years?" Grace asked, worry etched across her face. "I don't know," Benjamin admitted, "but if there's even a small chance to resolve things, I have to take it. I owe it to myself to face him." Grace supported his decision, but feared how this meeting might affect the man she had come to love. Before leaving, Benjamin promised her, "No matter what happens, you're my home now, Grace. I won't let anything pull us apart." Returning to his childhood home, Benjamin was greeted not with warmth, but with cold formalities. His father's mansion was as imposing as he remembered, a stark contrast to the vibrant community center he and Grace had poured their hearts into. Nathaniel revealed the reason for his summons. He wanted Benjamin to join the family's political legacy. "You've spent enough time chasing frivolities," Nathaniel said, his tone dismissive. "It's time to grow up and step into the role you were born for." Benjamin was livid. "You didn't call me here to reconnect. You just want to use me as a pawn in your career." Nathaniel's response was cutting. "Your photography and these projects you waste your time on, they mean nothing in the grand scheme. Real power is what changes the world." Benjamin stood his ground, refusing to let his father belittle his choices. "You're wrong. True power comes from inspiring others, not controlling them. And for the record, my work has changed lives, something your empty promises could never achieve." The confrontation left Benjamin emotionally drained but resolute. He returned to Yueyang more determined than ever to build a life on his own terms, with Grace by his side. Just as Benjamin and Grace began to settle back into their lives, they faced an unexpected challenge. A developer announced plans to build a luxury resort near the community center. The project threatened to overshadow the center, disrupting the community it served. Grace and Benjamin joined forces with local leaders to oppose the development. They organized town hall meetings, launched awareness campaigns, and even used Benjamin's photography to highlight the center's cultural significance. Despite their efforts, the developer, backed by powerful investors, refused to back down. Tensions reached a boiling point when the developer's representatives began spreading rumors about the center's funding, accusing Grace's firm of financial misconduct. The accusations struck a nerve with Grace. "They're attacking my integrity," she said, her voice trembling with anger. "They're trying to intimidate us," Benjamin replied, his hand on her shoulder, "but they don't know who they're up against." As the conflict escalated, Grace and Benjamin found their relationship tested like never before. Late nights strategizing turned into heated arguments as the stress took its toll. "You're taking on too much," Benjamin said one night after Grace had spent hours poring over legal documents. "You're burning yourself out." "And what would you have me do?" Grace snapped. "Let them destroy everything we've worked for?" Realizing how strained they both were, Benjamin softened his tone. "I'm not saying we give up. I just don't want to lose you in the process." His words resonated with Grace. She realized that their strength lay in their partnership, not in trying to shoulder the burden alone. They began working more collaboratively, delegating tasks, and leaning on the community for support. Their efforts culminated in a public rally that drew attention from national media. Benjamin's powerful photographs, combined with Grace's eloquent speeches, captured the hearts of people far beyond Yueyang. Their campaign gained widespread support, forcing the developer to reconsider the project. When the developer finally announced the cancellation of the resort, the community erupted in celebration. For Grace and Benjamin, the victory was more than a win against corporate greed. It was a testament to the power of unity and the depth of their love. After their victory against the developers, the community center thrived, becoming a vibrant hub of culture and collaboration. Grace and Benjamin finally had time to focus on their personal lives, yet the challenges they had faced left an undeniable mark on their relationship. One evening, Benjamin surprised Grace with a quiet dinner at their favorite spot by the riverside. As they watched the sun set, Benjamin reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, intricately designed charm bracelet. "This is for you," he said, placing it on her wrist. "Each charm represents a piece of our journey. The first mural, the camera that captured our memories, and a key to the community center." Grace looked at the bracelet, tears welling in her eyes. "It's beautiful, but more than that, it's a reminder of how far we've come together." As their bond deepened, Benjamin suggested a new adventure, traveling to different communities to document and support similar projects. "We can combine our strengths," he said. "Your designs and my photography can inspire people to create spaces where they belong." Grace hesitated, torn between her love for Yueyang and the excitement of building something new. "It's a big step," she admitted. "Life is full of big steps," Benjamin replied, "and I want to take them all with you." Before they could embark on their new journey, Benjamin received a call that dredged up painful memories. His father, Nathaniel, was hospitalized after a stroke. Despite their fractured relationship, Benjamin felt compelled to visit. Grace, understanding his need for closure, offered to go with him. In the sterile confines of the hospital room, Nathaniel looked frail and vulnerable, a shadow of the domineering figure Benjamin had known. "You came," Nathaniel murmured, his voice weak but laced with surprise. "I couldn't ignore the call," Benjamin replied, his tone neutral. The visit opened a floodgate of unresolved emotions. Nathaniel expressed regret for his harsh treatment, admitting that he had envied Benjamin's freedom to follow his passion. "I thought controlling you would keep you close," Nathaniel confessed, "but I only drove you away." Benjamin listened, his anger tempered by the reality of his father's frailty. "I don't know if I can forgive you completely," he said honestly, "but I'm willing to try." The reconciliation wasn't perfect, but it allowed Benjamin to lay down a burden he had carried for years. Leaving the hospital, he turned to Grace. "Thank you for being there," he said. "I couldn't have done this without you." Before leaving Yueyang, Grace and Benjamin organized a farewell festival at the community center to celebrate its success and express their gratitude. The event was filled with music, art, and food, showcasing the vibrant culture they had helped nurture. Grace gave a heartfelt speech, thanking the community for their unwavering support. "This center isn't just a building," she said. "It's a testament to what we can achieve when we come together." Benjamin presented a photo exhibit capturing the center's journey, from its construction to the stories of the people who had brought it to life. One photograph, a candid shot of Grace laughing with a group of children, drew particular attention. "You captured the soul of this place," Grace said, standing beside him. "No," Benjamin replied, smiling. "I captured yours." The night ended with a dance under a canopy of lanterns. As they swayed to the music, Grace whispered, "I'm scared, Benjamin. Leaving this place feels like leaving a piece of myself." "You're not leaving it behind," Benjamin assured her. "You're taking its spirit with you. Wherever we go, we'll carry its lessons and memories." The decision to leave Yueyang came with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Grace and Benjamin mapped out their journey, planning to visit underprivileged areas where their skills could make a difference. Their first stop was a coastal village grappling with the aftermath of a recent storm. The community was struggling to rebuild, and Grace immediately saw an opportunity to design structures that were both sustainable and resilient. Benjamin, meanwhile, immersed himself in documenting the villagers' resilience through his lens. Working together in this new environment brought its own challenges. Grace's meticulous planning occasionally clashed with Benjamin's improvisational style, but their shared goal kept them united. One evening, after a particularly heated argument over the placement of a key structure, they found themselves laughing at the absurdity of their stubbornness. "We're a team," Benjamin reminded her, "and teams don't always agree, but they always find a way." Their efforts bore fruit when the villagers gathered to unveil the first completed structure, a multi-purpose hall that could withstand future storms. Watching the smiles on the villagers' faces, Grace felt a sense of fulfillment unlike anything she had experienced before. Later, as they walked along the beach, Grace turned to Benjamin. "You were right," she said. "This is more than just a project. It's a leap of faith, and I'm glad I took it with you." Benjamin took her hand, his eyes reflecting the glow of the setting sun. "We're just getting started, Grace. The furthest distance isn't behind us. It's ahead, waiting for us to cross it together." Grace and Benjamin's next stop was a remote mountain village tucked away in a valley, known for its serene beauty but plagued by limited resources and outdated infrastructure. The village chief, a wise elder named Lin, welcomed them warmly. "Our people have lived here for generations," Lin explained, "but the younger ones are leaving because they see no future here." Grace saw the challenge as an opportunity to implement sustainable, modern designs while preserving the village's heritage. She envisioned creating schools, healthcare facilities, and communal spaces that blended tradition with innovation. Benjamin, as always, documented every step, capturing the village's charm and the struggles of its people. One night, as Grace sketched under the light of a lantern, Benjamin set up his camera nearby. "What are you working on?" he asked. "A community center," she said. "It'll be the heart of the village, just like back in Yueyang." Benjamin smiled. "You're turning every place we visit into something extraordinary. It's inspiring." Their collaboration sparked new ideas, with villagers volunteering their time and skills. The community rallied together, weaving the fabric of their shared dreams. Grace even learned local architectural techniques, incorporating them into her designs, while Benjamin taught photography to a group of curious children, opening their eyes to new ways of storytelling. While progress in the village was promising, challenges began to surface. Supplies were delayed due to landslides, and funds started running low. Grace felt the weight of the village's expectations. "What if we can't deliver on our promises?" she confided in Benjamin. "We've faced obstacles before," he reassured her. "This is no different. We'll find a way." However, tension grew as Grace and Benjamin debated over priorities. Grace wanted to focus on long-term projects, while Benjamin advocated for addressing immediate needs like improving water access. Their arguments became more frequent, fueled by exhaustion and stress. One evening, their disagreement boiled over. "You're so focused on the big picture that you're ignoring the present," Benjamin snapped. "And you're so caught up in short-term fixes that you're forgetting why we're here." Grace shot back. They parted ways that night, both needing space to process their emotions. Grace wandered through the village, finding herself at the site of the future community center. She sat among the stones and wooden beams, reflecting on their journey. Benjamin, meanwhile, sought solace in his photography, capturing the villagers' quiet moments of resilience. His lens eventually found Grace sitting alone, her silhouette framed by the rising moon. In that instant, he realized they were both striving for the same goal, just in different ways. The next morning, Benjamin approached Grace with a bouquet of wildflowers he had gathered. "I'm sorry," he said. "I've been so focused on the here and now that I forgot how much the future matters to you and to us." Grace smiled, touched by the gesture. "I'm sorry too. I let my fears get the best of me. We're stronger together, Benjamin. We always have been." With their differences resolved, they worked tirelessly to finish the community center. Villagers, inspired by their dedication, redoubled their efforts. The setbacks became opportunities for innovation, and the delays gave them time to perfect their plans. On the day of the community center's grand opening, the village celebrated with music, dancing, and a feast. Grace marveled at the sight of children running through the new building, their laughter echoing in the halls. Benjamin captured every moment, his heart swelling with pride. As the festivities wound down, the village chief approached them. "You've not only given us a building, but also hope for a brighter future," Lin said, his voice thick with emotion. The success of the Mountain Village project marked a turning point for Grace and Benjamin. Their partnership had proven unbreakable, and their love had deepened through every challenge. One evening, back in the serenity of the mountain, Benjamin planned a special surprise. He led Grace to a secluded spot overlooking the valley, where a small picnic awaited them. Lanterns hung from the trees, casting a soft glow over the scene. As they sat together, Benjamin pulled out a small wooden box. "Grace," he began, his voice trembling with emotion, "we've traveled so far together, through challenges, victories, and everything in between. You've shown me what it means to dream big and to build a life that truly matters. I don't want to cross the furthest distances without you. Will you marry me?" Grace gasped, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, Benjamin, 1,000 times yes." He slipped the ring onto her finger, and they embraced, the stars above witnessing their love. It was a moment of pure joy and a promise of a future filled with adventure and love. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the story. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more delightful stories.